This meeting come to order. We've got a couple of items of business to do before we get into the voting meeting. Today is August 8, 2017. This is a board meeting of the Hassayampa Community Facilities District meeting. Roll call, please.
Chairman Oberg.
Here.
Board Member Lamerson.
Here.
Board Member Blair.
Yes.
Board Member Lizelle.
Here.
Board Member Orr.
Here.
Board Member Shiska.
Here.
Board Member Wilcox.
Here.
All are here.
Good, thank you. Move on to the regular agenda.
Item A, public hearing and adoption of budget for Hassayampa Community Facilities District for fiscal year 2018.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is our annual public hearing and consideration of the budget. As you know, we did a refunding of this debt issue back in May. Final numbers on that where we were able to get the bonds locked at 2.7%, down from the 7.75 that they were originally issued at. Looking at the budget, the only thing really is assessments from the public and the payment of the debt. And there's a contingency in there for additional payoffs if individuals want to pay off their land. And there's a project that we've been working on with Public Works for the last couple of years that should be completed in 2008. It's $785,000 related to some wastewater upgrade projects that Hassayampa will pay a share of because of the impact they put on the system. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions or hear from the public.
Questions, comments from the board? Any from the public? Do you have a motion?
Mayor, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Got a motion and a second vote, please.
Passes 7-0.
And Mayor, I move to adopt resolution number 45, setting the FY18 budget for Hassayampa Community Facilities District.
Second.
Motion and a second vote, please.
Passes 7-0.
This meeting is adjourned. This meeting come to order. Today is Tuesday, August 8, 2017. This is a special board meeting of the Hassayampa Community Facilities District number 2 meeting agenda. Roll call, please.
Chairman Oberg.
Here.
Board Member Lamerson.
Here.
Board Member Blair.
Yes.
Board Member Lizelle.
Here.
Board Member Orr.
Here.
Board Member Shiska.
Here.
Board Member Wilcox.
Here.
All are present.
Thank you. Regular agenda.
Item 1, public hearing and adoption of budget for Hassayampa Community Facilities District number 2 for fiscal year 2018.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Again, this is the same thing as before, but for the second district. Annual debt service, we again refunded these bonds back in May. We're able to move the interest rate from 7.71% down to 2.86, which will save all the members in the district considerably over the remaining life of the bonds. There is one capital project that was part of the amended feasibility report the council adopted in May as well. It has to do with the road project at the intersection of Thumb Butte and Hassayampa Village Lane. That will be completed within this fiscal year as required by the feasibility study. And again, with that, it's just debt service and a contingency for any homeowners who wish to pay off their bonds early.
Any questions, comments from the council? Any from the public? Do I have a motion?
Mayor, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and second vote, please.
Passes 7-0.
Do you have another motion?
Mayor, I move to adopt resolution number 22, setting the FY18 budget for Hassayampa Community Facilities District number 2.
Second.
Motion and a second vote, please.
Passes 7-0.
This meeting's adjourned. Today is Tuesday, August 8, 2017. This is a voting meeting of the Prescott City Council. Mayor Pro Tem, do you have any introductions?
Oh, yeah, sure. First, I was going to say something to the teachers because there's so many of them in here. Then I was going to say something to the lawyers because there's so many in here. But I'd like to introduce Sheila Polk, our county attorney. Thank you for coming, Sheila. You tried to hide back there, and it didn't work.
Okay, thank you. Our invocation today be from Pastor Steve Lumber, Discovery Church, and Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Lozelle.
Reading out of Acts chapter 17, the God who made the world and everything in it is the Lord of heaven and earth. He does not live in temples built by hands. He is not served by human hands as if he needed anything, because he himself gives all men life, breath, and everything else. For from one man he made every nation of men that they should inhabit the whole earth, and he determined the time set for them and the exact places that they should live. God did this so that we would seek him. I looked up the longitude, latitude of our city council chambers today. We're at 34 degrees, 32 minutes, 23.1 seconds north. Longitude 112 degrees, 28 minutes, 6 seconds west. This is August 8th. 2017. I get to celebrate my 37th wedding anniversary tomorrow. And it's 3 p.m. And I'd like to quote the great theologian Jimmy Buffett, who said, "Changes in latitudes and changes in attitudes." God chose the exact places where we would live and the exact times when we would live so that we might seek him. And I'd like for us to pray in this exact longitude, latitude spot today, that our attitude would be focused on him and that we would seek him. Father God, we thank you today for this council. We thank you for this exact space and the people in it. I thank you for our mayor. Thank you for our council members, for Mayor Oberg, for Blair, for Shiska, for Wilcox, for Lamerson, Orland, and Zell. I thank you for their life and their energy. I pray that you'd breathe life into them. They would seek you in this exact spot. Thank you for our city. Thank you for this wonderful place of longitude, latitude. And may we seek you in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Oberg,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Lamerson,
Here.
Councilman Blair,
Yes.
Councilmember Lozelle,
Here.
Councilwoman Orr,
Here.
Councilman Shiska,
Here.
Councilwoman Wilcox.
Here.
All are present.
Thank you. City Manager, do you have any announcements?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. Number 7, presentations.
Special recognition for the Prescott Tourism Office.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to see you. Thank you all for being here. It is my honor to recognize our tourism office. And I work on the Tourism Advisory Committee, so I could please have Heather Herman, Margot Christensen, John Heine, Wendy Bridges, and Ann Stewart. Please join me up here. Thank you. What an honor for me. I really want to take a moment to recognize our tourism office staff and stakeholders. On August 20th, the Prescott Tourism Office was recognized by the Arizona Office of Tourism in front of hundreds of travel professionals around the state. Prescott received the Governor's Tourism Award for Outstanding Marketing Campaign, Rural, for Take Another Day campaign. Last summer, Heather Herman, our marketing and media consultant, and Margot Christensen of Ponderosa Hotels conceived the campaign, which was designed to invite travelers to take another day in the city of Prescott. The campaign went on websites, via social media, and in printed publications Their concept was artfully crafted and well executed. The actual award is on display outside of the council chambers, but here is a really nice replica. So please join me in saying thank you to our Arizona.
I'm usually one who takes pictures, so.
Absolutely. We'll have Tyler take pictures.
Thank you, Millie.
Okay. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Annie. Yeah, great job, everybody. Nice. Hard work here.
Tyler can count.
Thank you. Good job.
Got the 3.
Thank you, Billy. We'll move on to proclamations.
Kids at Hope proclamation.
Ladies and gentlemen, a week ago, Monday, yesterday, I was at a breakfast called the Kids at Hope Breakfast, and I became a hopeologist. And so, as opposed to Kids at Risk, we are proclaiming ourselves Kids at Hope City. So, whereas children succeed when they are surrounded by adults who believe they can succeed, no exceptions. And whereas children succeed when they have meaningful and substantial relationships with caring adults. And whereas children succeed when they can articulate their future in 4 domains: home and family, education and career, community and service, and hobbies and recreation. And whereas Kids at Hope is a culture that inspires, empowers, and transforms schools, organizations, serving youth, and entire communities, cities and counties to create, as well as cities and counties, to create an environment and culture where all children experience success, no exceptions. And now, therefore, Harry Oberg, the mayor of the city of Prescott, Arizona, does hereby proclaim the city of Prescott as a Kids at Hope city, where the following top 5 practices are implemented: surrounding children with adults who believe all children can succeed without exception; demonstrating and practicing the power of positive self-talk, as opposed to talking to yourself; validating the multiple intelligence of children, which leads to developing their full potential; offering all children the opportunity to mental time travel to a future with hope; and validating that all children are connected to a caring adult in a meaningful and sustainable manner. So, could I have all of you hopeologists up here to accept this? Come on, everybody who is a hopeologist and who was at the breakfast, please come up.
Because I was here.
Ladies and gentlemen, could I have a hand for our hopeologists?
I'm going to present it to Joe Howard, our superintendent of schools. Maybe you want to say something about our schools?
Well, what an honor to accept this, not just on behalf of Prescott Unified School District, but really what I'm hearing from the city. We've had so many partnerships with the city, but this one's huge. These are the public schools, so they're all of our schools. And this is really saying it's not just the schools, they're all of our kids. And so this really, you know, our motto is every child, every day. This takes it to a whole new level. And I can tell you we've been talking about this since spring, and we've formally implemented it starting on Monday when our teachers came back, just a little more than a week ago. But I can tell you that having all of these partnerships here, and our schools and our city has partnerships with all of these folks, but this is something we're all doing together. So we're creating a culture as a community that says we're not going to let one kid slide by without giving them hope. And we know that we have lots of talented kids that show up with these beautiful gifts, and we all get to enjoy those. But then we have a lot of kids also who, for whatever reason or whatever risk they brought with them, they haven't found those talents. So it's our job as a community, and those of us on the front line who are with those kiddos every day, it's our job, you heard the term treasure hunter, is to find those treasures in those kids and give them hope for the future. And isn't that really what we're leaving as a legacy in Prescott, is the future? These kids will bring it for us. So I just want to thank all of these folks, and this is kind of a dream for all of us, I think. This is all about kids.
Okay, before we move into the agenda today, I'd like to thank everybody that showed up and took time out of their busy day. We have the consent agenda first, so there will not be any public comment on that. When we get to the regular agenda, that will be open for public comment. If you do get up and talk, try and limit yourself to 5 minutes. I'd appreciate that. Consent agenda.
Item A, approval of the purchase of a replacement generator for the police department from Empire Cat in an amount not to exceed $38,254.41. City contract number 2018-009. Funding is available in the Facilities Management Fund. Item B, approval to purchase fire department personal protective equipment turnouts from L.N. Curtis & Sons using HGAC contract number EP11-14 pricing in an amount not to exceed $35,700. City contract number 2018-010. Item C, approval to use state contracts ADPS 17-149350 and ADOC 13-35674 with FX Tactical LLC to purchase budgeted duty equipment and uniforms in the estimated amount of $40,000 during FY18. Item D, approval of payment to OCLC Incorporated in the amount of $19,126. City contract number 2018-028 for fiscal year 2018 for annual shared library bibliographic records subscription. Item E, award of city contract numbers 2017-356 with Sterling Infosystems Incorporated for background checks of prospective employees, board and commission appointees, and volunteers in an estimated amount of $15,600. Item F, award of city contract number 2018-112 for the purchase of pavement de-icing agent from Desert Mountain Corporation using Yavapai County contract number 1520447 in an estimated annual amount of $50,000. Item G, approval to add RDO 15,000, CarQuest 15,000, Interstate Batteries 20,000, and the Lighthouse 15,000 to the approved contract listing for OEM parts. Contract listing was approved by council on December 13, 2016. City contract numbers 28-017, 2018-018, 2018-019, and 2018-025. Item H, approval of ratification of payment to RWC City contract number 2018-027 for the emergency repair of the wastewater collection vehicle number 1172 in the amount of $14,908.71. Item I, approval of payment in the amount of $86,141.23 to the Arizona Department of Revenue for administration and collection services. Item J, approval amendment number 1 to city contract number 2017-260 with the Robb Group LLC for economic development services in the amount not to exceed $52,800. Funding for this contract is budgeted in the general fund, and the bed tax fund can potentially be used for the marketing materials as related to tourism.
Is there any item that a council member would like to pull for further discussion? Okay, do I have a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve consent agenda items 9A through 9J.
Second.
I have a motion and a second vote, please.
Passes 7-0.
Thank you. Move on to liquor license agenda.
Item 10A1, public hearing and consideration for a new liquor license for a Series 12 restaurant liquor license from George Sahugun Moreno, applicant for Guacamayas Mexican Grill Corporation, located at 1317 1/2 East Gurley Street. Mayor and council, this is a request for a new Series 12 restaurant liquor license. The business is already in operation and Mr. Moreno is the new owner of the restaurant. Series 12 liquor licenses are not transferable. The application has been determined to be in compliance with the city requirements and being recommended for approval. The application fee has been paid and the application has been posted at the location for the required 20 days. No public comments have been received, and I believe the applicant is available for any questions.
Would the applicant come on down? Well, I think I saw you around noontime today.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about your business. I think you bought it from somebody else, or?
Yes, previous owner didn't want to renew the lease, so we took over.
Okay. I know it's great food. Hope everybody else is aware of that and comes by and visits you.
Thank you.
Jorge,
Can I ask a question, Mayor? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
thank you. I did press my button, Steve.
Oh, you did? I didn't
Yeah,
press mine.
I know you didn't.
I was rude.
Some of us follow the game plan. Jorge,
promise.
thanks for investing in the city of Prescott. We appreciate what you do here.
Well, I love the town. I've been here 10 years, worked at the same restaurant. Now I own it, so I'm happy to be here.
Our kind of guy. All right.
Councilman Jiska.
Thanks, Mayor, and thank you, Jim. Jorge, you need to tell everybody where the restaurant is and what it was before you took over.
Okay, it's Plaza Bonita is the previous name, and it's by the Best Western Prescottonian. Yeah,
Nice.
Curly Street, yeah.
So thank you very much,
You're
and
welcome.
good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Mayor, I
correction
move to,
for
move to
that?
close
Is
the,
there any comment from the public? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Mayor, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Got a motion, second vote, please.
Passes 7-0.
Okay. Do you have a second motion?
Mayor, I move to approve for a liquor license application number 121-33683 for new liquor license for a Series 12 restaurant for Guacamayas Mexican Grill, Inc., location 1317 1/2 East Gurley Street.
Second.
Got a motion, second vote, please.
Passes 7-0.
Thank you. Move on to B.
Public hearing and consideration for an acquisition of control for a Series 19 remote tasting room liquor license from Jeffrey Lee Herbert, applicant for Superstition Meadery, location 120 West Gurley Street.
Is the applicant here?
I'm obviously not Jeffrey. I'm Jennifer. I'm also in the liquor license, so.
Can you tell us a little bit about your request here?
Sure. We recently expanded our operation out to the air park, and you'll see in item 2, we're here for two things. The Arizona liquor law recently changed to allow farm wineries to have 2 off-site tasting room locations. So the Series 19 liquor license is new. You probably haven't seen one before. I think we're the only ones, maybe even in the state, that have applied for it. Our current location at 120 West Gurley Street will just be converted to a tasting room only, where we won't be doing production anymore. Item 2 is where we've moved production, which is a Series 13 license, which authorizes us to produce up to 40,000 gallons of wine in that one location under this license. So that's what it is.
Questions, comments from the council?
Yeah, I do. Do you need any grapes? I have a lot of them.
It depends on the type. I've tried making wine out of Thompson grapes, and it's disgusting. But we'll take cab grapes.
Councilwoman Wilcox?
This sounds like it's an expansion of your business.
It is. We've grown substantially in the last 3 years.
Can you tell us about some of the awards you've won?
Absolutely. Actually, the most exciting award that we won this year was the Small Business success story for Northern Arizona, which there were 5,000 new businesses that were in competition. 12 were awarded throughout the state, and we were one of them. So we were presented the award down on the State House lawn in March, and we're actually going to go for, and I don't know if I should announce it now, but we're going to go for the national award, where our growth is that explosive that we're really excited. We've introduced 20 new jobs to the town, full-time for everybody, and we're also one of the top-rated meaderies in the world right now as far as our hard cider and mead go. For those of you that don't know what mead are, haven't seen me before, mead is wine made from honey, but we do use grapes as well. We're actually expecting about 4,000 gallons of grapes to be delivered in the next 2 weeks, so it's really exciting.
Congratulations.
And we just want to thank you guys all for your support too, because we're one of the first places in town to do something like this, and it's been an uphill battle, but things are finally smoothing out, so we appreciate it.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you very much. Thank you for investing in Prescott. Thank you for what you do here, helping us be the best we can be at who we are.
Absolutely.
We don't have to change things in Prescott too much. We can do just fine being who we are.
Yep.
So thank you.
We love it here, so we're happy to be here. Thank you.
Councilwoman Orr?
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations and thank you again. Just as Mayor Pro Tem said, had the opportunity to sample at the chamber event.
Oh, okay, great.
And that was wonderful. So
Oh,
thank you
good.
for being there as well, and thank you for being a member of the community.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And go for that national award.
We're working on it. Fingers crossed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Appreciate it. Any questions, comments from the public? Do I have a motion?
Mayor, I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Got a motion, second vote, please?
Passes 7-0.
Okay, move on to second one.
Mayor, I move to approve a recommendation for liquor license application 191-3306 for an acquisition of control for a Series 19 remote tasting liquor license for Superstition Meadery, location 120 West Gurley Street.
Second.
Get a motion, a second vote, please?
Passes 7-0.
Okay, we'll move on to motions in item 2.
Public hearing and consideration for an acquisition of control for a Series 13 farm winery liquor license from Jeffrey Lee Herbert, applicant for Superstition Meadery, location 6678 Inter Calway.
Any public comment? Do you have a motion?
Mayor, move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Get a motion, second vote, please?
Passes 7-0.
Second motion?
Mayor, I move to approve recommendation for liquor license application number 131-33053 for an acquisition of control for a Series 13 farm winery liquor license for Superstition Meadery, location 6678 Inter Calway.
Second.
Motion, second vote, please?
Passes 7-0.
Thank you. Move on to item C.
Public hearing and consideration of permanent change of area of service on an extension of premises patio application number 121-33671 for a Series 12 restaurant liquor license from Thomas L. Beal, applicant for Touchmark at the ranch located at 3150 Touchmark Boulevard. Mayor and Council, this is a request for a permanent extension of premises patio permit. Council approved the Series 12 liquor license on February 28, 2017. The applicant is requesting an extension of premises to expand their dining and patio area. The application has been determined to be in compliance with the city requirements and being recommended for approval. The application has been paid the fee and no public comments have been received, and I believe Jeff Bancroft is available for questions.
Is the applicant here? Come on down. You want to tell us a little bit about your request?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
So we have determined that the space for dining is not quite big enough, and we'd like to include some private dining areas that are also conference or board rooms so that we can expand the dining area for future use as well as our patio.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the council? Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions, comments from the public? Do I have a motion?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Got a motion and a second vote, please?
Passes 7-0.
Do we have a second motion?
Mayor, I move to approve the permanent change of area of service on an extension of premises patio application number 121-33671 for a Series 12 restaurant liquor license for Touchmark at the Ranch, location 3150 Touchmark Boulevard.
Second.
Got a motion and a second vote, please?
Passes 7-0.
Move on to item D.
Item D1, approval of a Series 15 special event liquor license application for Arizona Wildfire Council Incorporated. Event location, Captain CrossFit, 420 North 6th Street. Applicant Elizabeth A. Ryman. City application number 17-064S. Date, time of event liquor sales, Saturday and Sunday, August 26th and 27th, 2017, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Questions, comments from the council? Any from the public? Do you have a motion?
Mayor, move to forward special event liquor license application number 17-064S to the
Mayor,
Arizona State.
Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I apologize. There was a mistake on the agenda.
Okay.
So if we could skip to number 2 and do 1 and 2 together, and then you'll just have to take one recommendation altogether.
Okay.
That was a mistake.
You want to read number 2 then?
Item 2, approval of a Series 15 special event liquor license application for Coalition for Compassion and Justice. Event location, Holiday Courtyard of the Grand Highland Hotel, 150 South Montezuma Street. Applicant Jesse Hans. City application number 17-061S. Date, time of event liquor sales is Sunday, August 13th, 2017, from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Any questions, comments from the council? Any from the public? Do you have a motion?
Mayor, move to forward special event liquor license applications number 10D1 and 10D2 to the Arizona State Liquor Board with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Yeah, motion and second vote, please.
Passes 7-0.
Thank you. Move on to regular agenda, item A.
Item A, review of bed tax budget and TAC grant 2018 allocations.
Mayor and Council, John Heine, Community Outreach Manager in the Prescott Tourism Office. Annually, around this time of year, we have reviewed the bed tax budget and TAC grant allocations for the coming fiscal year. So I'm going to do that with you today. I think I'm just going to move ahead to the budget itself. We can scroll up and down. So basically, overview of the bed tax budget for this year, just to give you some highlights. The city manager's realignment of staffing has led to significant efficiencies in administrative costs. As you'll notice on this budget, those are down about 11% for the coming year. This allowed for additional resources to be utilized in marketing and in recreation services support. So the overall bed tax allocation is down about 5% for the coming year. So again, moving costs from administrative side to more program side, which is what the goal of some of the changes was, to be able to do that. Also, it should be noted that total revenues are up 7% year over year. So this has been a trend for the last several years of bed tax revenues increasing, which is a good sign for the health of the tourism and the business in Prescott. So good news. Any questions about the budget, the overall budget itself? It's in your packet.
Councilman Blair.
One of the questions I have is under recreation services. There used to be a line item there for tournaments.
Yes, sir.
And so I'm seeing that was reduced by 100% when one of the greatest things we can bring into this community is clean tourism through events. Why did we reduce that 100%?
Actually, the money is still there. It's actually been moved. What we've done this year, if you look at the top line item under expenditures, tourism office, sales, marketing, admin, it's been rolled into that line item. It's a $30,000 expenditure. It is available. One of the things that Finance Department counseled with me is that we've noticed is that money is available for use if needed. Sometimes a tournament will come and require specific expenditures. That has not been used, it's not been needed or required since 2015. So what we did is we talked with Joe Baines, and he couldn't be here, he's not feeling well today, but we talked with him and said we're gonna make that money available, $30,000 up to needed. So it's there, it's just in a different line item.
All right, so he recognizes it's there.
Absolutely.
And the other question that I have, and probably not a good time to bring it up, but I'm going to anyway, is this what we're looking at, city manager, as far as are reducing our bed tax expenditures? And if it is, and we're being prudent in doing so, then I'd like to see the liquor license come back up for review and get rid of that liquor license.
Expenses are down.
Expenses are down. I mean, this is the overall expenditure for this budget is 5% down.
Okay. And if you would seriously take that as a suggestion to bring back the liquor license, I think we unfairly tax our liquor establishments, whatever it might be. And it's $70,000. We brought it up before. And if it's not going to be a real part of the picture of the bed tax as far as using it, then we probably should get rid of it.
Councilman Blair, if there's interest on council's part to revisit that and discuss it, we'll be glad to. Sure. Is there? Okay. There appears to be, so we'll do that.
Councilman Zell.
Thank you, Mayor. John, just two quick questions here. One doesn't have to do with the other. Sister cities, $3,500. What do we get with that?
I'm told that it provides support to the groups. There's membership fees that go along with the Sister Cities program. Okay. I think that's primarily what those are for, but also some support services as well, marketing and things like that.
The other item of question is the Corvette Car Show. I mean, that's a great event, and we've dropped that quite a bit. I mean, was that something mutual? Was that, or we don't want them here anymore?
So that, you kind of jumped ahead a little bit. We're going to talk about that with the TAC allocations, but I'm happy to address it now if you want to go right to that, if council pleasure. So I'm going to scroll down to the TAC allocations for this year. Overall, this is historical, so it shows the groups that came to us in FY16 and 17, and then what's current, which is 18. So if you look on the far right column, these are the what the TAC group has allocated for these. I'm just going to review the process with you. We do have some TAC members here too that may want to help kind of fill in the decision-making process. But basically, the TAC consists of stakeholders from area museums, Western heritage and culture, lodging industry, parks, and recreation. There were new members added to the TAC this year, which were included the Prescott Chamber and the Airport Administration. The TAC grants are in place to support local events that contribute to Prescott's economy in the following ways. One, by generating a positive economic impact from out-of-town visitors. Two, generating positive media exposure. Three, enhancing community pride. And four, supporting local charitable organizations. One key point, and that gets to your question, is that the TAC grants are intended to provide support specifically for marketing and promotional efforts. For example, TAC is not giving these grants for use of supplies or equipment or any other things. So when I started, that was made clear to me that that's an important part, important premise of this, aside from all these other items. So what we did is when we went to TAC and reviewed all of the applications, TAC looked at them and they decided to follow that by the letter and said, if you're asking for $4,000 and your marketing budget is $350, then we're only supposed to give you money for marketing. And hence, that's how we got to some of those numbers. There were 3 organizations impacted. I can tell you that TAC deliberated over this quite a bit. There was some concern. Councilwoman Orr sits on TAC, and there was a lot of concern about this, but we tried very hard to make it clear to the applicants kind of before, during, and after the process that this was the case, that this is what was required as marketing dollars. And that's, they wanted to stick to the letter. So it was TAC's decision. We have all the decisions for the amounts that were given there. I think it was a bold move for them to do that. I think it was important to send the message that this has really always been required. It just hasn't been followed in the past. So I think that's sort of where we were at. But it definitely did create some situations for organizations that were severely cut, and that's where we stand today.
Can you explain who the TAC is?
Oh yeah. So as I mentioned, I mean it's a variety of members or stakeholders. I think it's important to note, Mayor, that this is not a public body, not appointed by council, but it was put in place for for the reason, for a specific purpose, not to be a public body, that, we don't have minutes, but what we do is we meet on a regular basis, and it's an advisory group. So really, everything you see here is advice to you. The public discourse over this really should take place here at the council. So TAC advises, they review at the ground level, they understand what's going on in the industry, they advise, and then it comes to you for decision making.
So what you're saying then is not really a city-sponsored committee. It comes from the business community.
It is business members, but it is city-sponsored. This has been part of the tourism office since the bed tax allocation was created. I believe it was 2009. So it is a city-sponsored event. What it's not is a Public Open Meetings Act type of a committee.
Okay. I guess one of the concerns I have, I'll get to you.
Okay.
When we decided to make these changes, how well did we inform everybody that wanted to put in a request, what the new changes were, and that they had an opportunity to understand fully what the changes were going to involve for them?
We worked very hard to do that, Mr. Mayor. There's a couple of things that are put in place. One, when they apply for the grant itself, there's a packet of information, and we were very clearly stating in that packet of information this is intended for marketing dollars. So we certainly put it in writing and made it clear to all the applicants if they called or had questions. Also, a few years ago, the TAC instituted what they call a mandatory meeting, which basically invites all the members or all those that are applying for the grant to come. And I stood here, we actually had the TAC members here and had everyone in the audience where we clearly stated the guidelines and the principles and the methodology behind it. And we were very, tried to be very specific about that, that this is for marketing dollars. So we do the best we can to communicate.
And so when did you put that out that information? Sometime in February?
Yeah, well, actually, the grant, I think we started, Wendy, in March with the grant packets.
Correct.
And then the mandatory meeting was in May. So we had that meeting in May. All the packets were due May 30th, so we wanted to have the meeting in time to give them time to respond.
One of the things I'm concerned about is some of these, as soon as they finish their event for the year, they're already setting up, developing the budget for the next year. And, they probably are looking at what they got that year as, commensurate with what they're going to get the following year, and they probably built that into their budget. So I guess I'm a little concerned that people that, maybe had an event last September, decided to develop a budget, October, November, December timeframe, they might not have fully understood this, and I'm a little concerned that some people might have had an issue with that. Again, we've talked about here on the council and in the past that, we really feel that many of these events, once they become well established, and they have good sponsors, then they should go ahead and be funded through that mechanism so that we can take these dollars and try and bring in new events. So, I think most of these people out there understand that and would support that. Councilwoman Orr.
Yes, first of all, I want to thank the Tourism Advisory Committee. It's been quite an eye-opener, and I would invite anyone to come to any of those meetings, and because it's been a real eye. These are individuals that have the pulse of what's happening in tourism in our city. They are bed and breakfast, they are museums, they are the hotels. It's just amazing group of people. As well. And now we've expanded it to include the chamber and also the airport, just to get more and more information about the tourism. So I want to just really thank them for their work on this. I know that they deliberated on this a long time. With regard to the Corvette Club specifically, we met with Mr. Jones, Jerry. We met with Jerry, and one of the things unique to their application is that they put down their $350. But what we learned as we were sitting with him is that they do a lot of in-kind marketing. By that, they have national coverage with television and in auto magazines that are in kind, that are donated. So we talked to Mr. Jones at that meeting and said, so is there some way in future applications where you can actually quantify that, so that we know that you're not just doing $350 and you're probably doing thousands of dollars, but 350 is actually real dollars, the other's in kind. So I certainly would be fine with if the council wanted to look at trying to, and we talked to him about that, if we could quantify that. And I know also that John has said he would like to revise and re-look at how we do the allocations, and I know TAC is open to that as well. And we actually invited Jerry, because he does CDBG, to sit with us in that process. So I don't think this is hard and fast, but I can certainly see where in that particular situation, because so much of it is in kind for the Corvette Club, that might be something that we could reconsider. That's just all I wanted to say about that. So, but I appreciate the work of the TAC.
And again, the TAC is recommendations, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's an advisory committee.
Yeah. Councilman Zell.
Thank you. So I don't know if I got an answer there. Was that just, did the committee make that decision, or was it kind of mutual that the Corvette, I'm just picking this because I got a question about somebody else here too. Was the Corvette Club amicable to this decision? I mean, did you work together on that?
This is a grant making process, and generally what happens is a grant is submitted, a body of some sort reviews it and makes a recommendation. So the way the process has been heretofore up to this point is just that. They submit, TAC reviews it, makes a recommendation. After TAC's recommendation was put to paper, all of the agencies were contacted and told their amount. And I think that's what led to Mr. Jones giving the opportunity to meet with Councilwoman Orr and all that. So there was dialogue and discourse about this.
Yeah.
Okay. My other question is the rodeo, Yavapai County Fair. I mean, that's kind of a fledgling thing we got back into town. Is that going to be enough for them? I mean, was that looked at? Obviously, you guys looked at everything.
So there's other criteria. So the dollars are used for marketing. That's what their intended purpose is, okay? But there's other factors, as I mentioned before, that TAC looks at that kind of give them a rating in terms of how much money they're going to receive. And there are TAC members here that might want to comment, but I think the general consensus was they needed a little bit more, to provide a little bit more proof that this is something that drew people from outside of the area that put heads in beds. We asked all the applicants to provide detailed reports and data. Some did a better job than others at showing that to us, so without the data, I think they were reluctant to issue the full award.
Councilwoman Wilcox.
My question's about the film festival. Can you explain why they are not recommended to receive any allocation?
My understanding is that the film festival has not applied through this process for the last 2 years.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Kind of going down memory lane a little bit, John. If I remember correctly, when the TAC organized, it was to divest the council from making decisions over one group, very similar to what Greg Lozell's comments were, about one group of people subject to collecting tax solely from their clientele. All right, for distribution, for marketing, for everybody else in the city of Prescott that feeds off of that bed tax. So the TAC emanated out of that particular process, and now they make a recommendation. It's not necessarily a cut and stoned type deal. It's a recommendation that carries some weight with it, because it is a recommendation from those folks solely responsible for extracting out of their clientele the money necessary for the marketing aspect for tourism in the city of Prescott. I think that's the point. And I guess if memory serves me right, this was a deliberation for a lot of years in the community in squabbling as to how bed tax dollars would be spent. And it's been a whole lot smoother since the very people responsible for taking from their clientele have had basically the responsibility of putting grants together and the process together as to how the money gets distributed. And I really appreciate what the TAC has done, and I don't see any problem with what they recommend.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just want to add to that and just say that they have been invaluable to me in the last few months. Again, on the ground knowledge, what's going on. It helps inform us and helps inform you. So thank you for your comments.
Councilwoman Orr.
I was just recently at a Prescott Downtown Partnership meeting, and Bill McCleary said, TAC is where it's happening. Do you remember?
Yes, he's
Yeah,
one of the TAC members.
And I will tell you, again, I would invite anyone come and just sit with that group and see that the work that they do. And there's actually several in the audience, and appreciate them being here today.
Thanks.
Any other questions, comments from the council? Any from the public? Come on down. Looks like a tag team.
Well, my name's Jerry Jones, and I'm the chairman of the car show committee for the Corvette Club, who is this year doing their 11th annual all-historic, all-Corvette Prescott car show. And we had a few concerns right off the bat with the TAC committee because we've asked for monies in the past. And this year we got clobbered with it, and it was a surprise. And it made an opportunity for me to meet with Councilwoman Orr and John Heine and Wendy Bridges, and I must say it was very enlightening. I didn't agree with all of it, but the one thing I did like was that they asked for us to be involved next year in what we could do to make some changes in it, and it's very necessary to do that because it wasn't as open meeting as you might think, because we didn't get to see the results of the decisions. But that being said, we're big boys, and so we can handle this, and when the show will go on, and we want to make sure that the city of Prescott wants us to be here. That was the major concern when you get hit like that. And after the county knocked us off the plaza, that was another thing. They didn't want us out there. Subsequent meeting with the mayor and the city manager was further enlightening. Our big concern is that marketing, and by the way, I'm involved with SCORE, and we know about marketing. Marketing's pretty cheap nowadays with social media, what it is. On the other hand, there's a lot of marketing that we do that's expensive, and some of it we get free. We're volunteers. And hell, last year we had Channel 3 was here with the AAA Arizona Highways with Dan Davis. Big promo, and we didn't ask for it. We didn't get anything from them. They were here for 2 days and stuck with us and went to the reception. We are results oriented. How much you spend, whether it be outright fees or whatever, we want to see the results. And I think we've proven over 10 years, that our results are significant to the city of Prescott, not only in the bed tax for this event, but these people come back during the year and they're there. The other thing is the importance of the merchants who jump in with us, and they help us with doing raffles and things like that, and then discounts on the restaurants. And we don't compete with them, and they've been very, very generous with helping us raise money. We are a 501c3. We do spend all of our donations locally. Last year they went to CTEC and the US Vets, Friends of the Library, and CC&J. We've got on the agenda this year is CC&J and US Vets, and I think it's CASA is so far, depending on how much money we make. But we really appreciate the city's involvement in what we do. It's a partnership, the way we look at it, and we hope that partnership continues, because there's a lot of good things going for both of us here, and we want to continue that. And I can't thank you all enough for your support as well. It's been fantastic. I hate to turn this mic over to him. This is like giving Visine to a peeping Tom.
Jerry, for the record, I want you here.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. We're proud to be here. We really are.
You are.
You are.
I love Jerry. All right, y'all. There was 3 of us that started this Corvette show 11 years ago. And when I started this Corvette show, we started from Gurley Street to Union Street. We had 26 Corvettes and my Ponderosa Tire Pro Shop van. That's what started it. Then we took Cortez. Then we took Cortez and Goodwin. And then the city came to us and said, look, you need to take all 3 streets. In the initial, we used to raise $50,000 to $60,000 a weekend, one day. Okay, this event cost us about $30,000 to go. right? So $10,000 to $20,000 goes to our local charities. That's a lot of money. We fill every hotel in the Tri-City area. Every hotel. Pardon me, but I never took it upon me where I'd have to go and kiss somebody's ass because we bring so much money in this. You guys should know that. We bring so much to this town. I got people registered for North Carolina, Florida, Texas. Sorry guys, everywhere. People come here. They come here and they buy houses here. They end up living here. I service people's cars from all over Arizona, Phoenix, Lake Havasu City, just because I'm involved in the Corvette show. Bridgestone, Firestone, Michelin, Continental, and Toyo all donate $2,500 gift certificates for one set of tires for a Corvette. It's a lot of money. All that money goes to charity. Every bit of it. You know, so we just took it for granted you guys knew how much money we bring in this town. Now, Jerry told me not to bring this up, but the city of Williams has been after me for 3 years to bring him back there. I started the Corvette show in Williams. I'm from Flag. They've offered, Louis, bring it up here, we can do it. And the first thing when the county came to us and said, look, you can't do anything inside the courtyard, well, that was a kick, but we can make that happen. But now a slap in the face, we don't need your $200. I can move it. I own Prescott Tire Pros. I do $3.5 million worth of business in town. It's a lot of tax dollars there, guys. You know what I mean? I love Prescott. I live downtown. I love everything about it. But you can't slap the hand that's feeding you guys. You can't do it. You know what I mean? There's so many people that came here for the Corvette show that are now living here in Prescott. You know, Dan Davis did a whole half-hour show on AAA High Roads. Discovery Channel 2 years ago did a whole segment on car shows. He spent 15 minutes here. That's a lot of promotion. On comm radio, I spent at least $2,500 in advertising. Lamb Chevrolet, they weren't involved until the third year and said, holy smoke, this is big time dollars. They sell 3 Corvettes at every show, at least. How much tax dollars is that? $70,000 a throw. Do we want to move this to Williams? I know most of you guys here. You know, I'm a straight shooter. That's just how I don't want to move this. I don't want to do anything. We want to do it here. We want to continue to grow. We just want a little help. So yeah, that money you give us, there's way more marketing than that. But we plan on that money every year pays for the barricading in the Porta Johns. I've been counting on that every year for that. You know, there was one time with the city, they said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to do the barricading for you. So they did that, and it cost too much because over time they figured, wow, that's too much money. It was cheaper to get Karen Fann's company out here and make it happen. Boom, it was $2,500 bucks. You know what I mean? But the money we don't get from you guys is money we don't give to our local charities. That's pretty much what it is. So thank you guys for your time.
Well, I got a couple questions here for you, I think.
Yes.
Councilman Shiska.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So I have a question for Tech. We're penalizing these guys because they got in-kind marketing rather than they had to, you know, write a check for the marketing? Is that the spirit of what we're trying to do? Or are we kind of, you know, just hitting the, I don't know what you want to say it, but the finer points here of are we aiming at the spirit, or are we aiming at being anal and not fulfilling what we need to fulfill? That's my question.
Well, I think that first of all, the marketing dollars are important to the whole city. So when an organization spends dollars on an event that brings people here, it supports everyone. I don't think there was any mean-spiritedness on TAC's part.
Oh no,
however,
no mean-spirited.
However, when one of the questions that have come up, and I'll put it out there, is the TAC's trying to decide if their dollars are going to help promote an event or is it for equipment. That's not what was intended. It was for equipment, and there's also been questions, you know, about other uses of the funds. So I think they just wanted to stick right with what was written down.
Sure. Okay,
and they stuck to it. It's something that's been on the books for many years, and they decided to stick with it this year. I don't think there was any intention to slap hands or bite the hands.
No, I never had that, you know, intention in what I said. I guess what I was looking at is are we results oriented, or are we form-oriented, then that was my question.
Sure. I think they want to be form-oriented, and this was definitely a unique case because they do so much of the in-kind publications and that it just didn't show up in their financial report.
And that was our fault because we didn't really think about it. We just thought we were given, you know?
Councilwoman Orr?
Louis, we definitely want the Corvette show. It's a great show. It's always a lot of fun. My husband's had a couple of Corvettes in our time, and it's always fun to reminisce and go through it. It definitely puts heads in beds. It is results oriented. When we sat with Jerry, Wendy, myself, and John, one of the realities that we came to is that how much money is actually put into marketing that is not really real dollars because they are donations to you.
And real money's marketing. I mean,
absolutely.
Just with Com Radio alone, about $2,800 alone.
That's
huge.
what we were trying to come up with. So how much money is it really that you're actually using to market?
Between that and then KPPV, there's another $1,250.
Exactly.
99.1, another $1,250.
The television shows that came, the national exposure that you gave, but that wasn't.
That
didn't show on the
That part was free, but the monies I spend and write checks for every year
Absolutely.
at the same time is well over $5,000, well over that. And what's nice about Com Radio is we get statewide recognition. You know, it goes from Kingman to Phoenix, and it's just really, really huge.
But when you looked at the application, Steve, you're asking, it said $350 for marketing. Well, it obviously isn't $350 for marketing. It's a lot more for marketing that is given in kind, which then frees up other money for other things. So
and that's not
just wanted to clear that up.
Ed Walsh put some ton in too.
Would you mind if I broke in here? I'm sorry, Mayor, but I'm really confused. You say you're writing checks for $2,800 and $1,200.
Oh yeah.
But
and
it wasn't
yet
in the application.
Which is it? Are you getting it in kind, or are you actually writing checks for it?
I think it's both.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of stuff. Like Dan Davis, Channel 3, that was all free. They heard about the show. They've heard about it for years. They came up. But how they hear about it is through Com Radio, how they heard about it through all these radio stations. Wow, what's going on here? We do call Channel 3 every year and tell them, hey, we're doing a show. We call Channel 10, Channel 12. We contact them. And Channel 3 is the one who's been pushed now coming towards us. Discovery Channel heard about it. We do big shows in Vegas, and the same thing with them. They hear about your Corvette show all over the place. So, yeah. So, go ahead.
Councilman Shiska, in answer to your question, what we submit is just from the Prescott Bet Set Charitable Foundation. Those are the numbers we submitted. That's just for us. We didn't use our sponsors' dollars that they did. That's a separate entity, so we didn't mess with Lamb's donations and the amount of money they spend for advertising and promotion of the show. When you get down to it, that wasn't part of us as a Prescott Vets Charitable Foundation. Lamb brings in people from Detroit, and they got the latest and the greatest coming in, and the transportation and the expense of the manufacturers is big time. We don't include that in our budget. That's not part of us as Prescott Vets said. We put this on, we manage it. And so our donation to it is just for a little advertising, but the rest of it is all on the internet. We've got the best people in the world that work the internet and promote this show, and a big mailing list. And these people come from all over the Southwest and California. And so we volunteer a lot, and we put a lot of money in it, but it's donated too. So our big expense is the show itself. We've spent over $20,000 ourselves, just our portion, not the sponsors. And that money is all spent locally for security and for barricades, which we do, and the porta-johns and other expenses involved. So we spend a lot of money just by ourselves.
And really, this is the only show that takes care of downtown at the square, that there's no water vendors, no soda vendors, no food vendors, no walnuts, no almonds. 100% patronize the square. So that's pretty good there too. You know what I mean? We fill the tables on average. We see 7,000 to 10,000 people at the event. It's a lot of people.
Councilman Blair?
Well, I look at this list up here of all the people we give X amount of dollars to, and I don't know what's written in the guidelines for TAC. I really don't. That's not my job. My job is to make sure that we have a healthy general fund. And it's always been the mission of this council, as long as I've been here, is to bring in producers. What have you done for us, and what can you do for us as far as the money that we're giving you? So in other words, put the money where your mouth is. Can you bring people to us, butts in the beds, whatever the case may be? And here's an operation that's doing that. And that's value orientated, as far as I'm concerned. And the bottom line, we can move them up to this next group and get them off the bottom group, and let's give them 10,000. So my comment today would be is let's give them the 29 and start thinking about what these groups do to bring in revenue to this community. That's what it's all about.
Councilman Lozelle.
Thank you, Mayor. Louis, I don't take your honesty or your candor in offense at all.
Thank you. Sorry.
No, that's, I know. You're my kind of people. We haven't seen each other since Cottonwood, since a good friend of ours.
Yeah.
I'm with Steve, and to no discredit to the TAC, I think that this fell short. We pantsed this organization because they didn't know the procedure, and I don't want to belittle the decision-making of a committee, but I think in this case, next year, you would know what to bring forward with the financials, and I'm with Steve that I think we just bumped this back up to 39, and the next year, you know what to present to the TAC.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We appreciate you guys.
Councilwoman Wilcox.
John, could you remind us again what the statutory restrictions are on the use of the bed tax?
Bed tax can be used for promotion of tourism, which under the statute, the applicable part of the statute says the promotion of tourism includes contracts between the city and nonprofit organizations or associations for the promotion of tourism by the nonprofit organization or association. So it's broader, in my view, it's broader than the marketing of an event. That bed tax dollars are for purposes of promotion of tourism. So for instance, that's how we justify the Whiskey Off-Road. That 30,000 isn't used for marketing, it's used to help the event operate, and that promotes tourism because it brings people into town. So I think under that same analysis, that the promotion of tourism is much broader than I think what TAC came up with. And I'd like to sort of, after this is over, discuss with I'm troubled by the idea that TAC isn't somehow a committee. I've been here almost 5 years, I've never heard that. If it's a city-sponsored group, it needs to be a standing committee by the council, created by resolution, or if it's a mayor's ad hoc committee, it needs to be that. It needs to follow all of the rules and laws. We've had some potential open meeting law violations, and we have had apparently for the number of years that TAC's been open and operating. So I'm concerned about it. And again, I'm not disparaging anyone, but I'm troubled by this. I think we need to have a discussion at a subsequent meeting about a formal creation of TAC, and making sure that they follow all of the open meetings laws. Because and again, this is no one's fault. I just didn't realize that this was even how it operated.
Well, I'm troubled by that too, especially since we have a council liaison sitting on that committee. And we allow them to define their own parameters.
Again, that normally committee, for instance, our Arts and Public Places Committee defined its own parameters, but ran it through council when it was created. And that's fine. I mean, that's fine. But again, the substance of what they decide and how they decide is really up to those advisory type committees, and it comes to you as a piece of advice, and you choose to follow it in total or follow it in part and make adjustments, and then you make your final decision. But procedurally, I think we need to have a future discussion about this and I think we need to form the committee in the proper way, make sure that it follows all the proper open meeting law and public records procedures.
Any other questions or comments from the council?
No, I would just like to raise their money.
Okay, we'll do that in the motion. Thank you, Jerry and Louis.
Thank you. We look forward to working with the TAC committee to do something about it, and we really appreciate your partnership. Thank you.
And I think everybody on this council definitely wants to keep the vet show here. Any other public comment?
My name is Daniel Matson. I live over on Merritt Street. These guys bring in a lot of money in bed tax. They're really effective. I noticed several other groups have gotten a bit of a raise. I hear you guys talking about $3,900. Why not just make it an even $4,000? I mean, it's still a good investment. You could make it 5 and it would be a good investment.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Hello, Mayor and Council. Margot Christensen, 3599 Lee Circle, representing Ponderosa Hotel Management. And I'm also a member of the Tourism Advisory Committee. And I just wanted to make a point and let this be known that the TAC really struggled over this decision. We deliberated quite a bit of time and some heartburn. Admittedly, the last few years prior to this year, we were probably a little too lenient in making some of the decisions, and we let some dollars slide by that maybe we should have deliberated over a little bit more. We heard it loud and clear last year from some of the council members that we needed to follow the policy and protocol of the grant, and that's exactly what we did this year. We followed every letter, and we were tough, and that's what led to these very hard decisions. So I don't want anyone to think that we were penalizing or slapping anybody in the face. We were just following the procedure. So if we want to make an amendment, I think we should amend all 3 of them that were awarded a little bit low, because I think they just made a mistake in providing their financials to us.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate all the work you've done. Anyone else?
Mayor, I'd like to respond to Margot if I could. Margot,
Yeah,
I
go
want to
ahead.
thank you for your involvement in TAC, and you've been a real leader in this effort. And I know you're absolutely right. The TAC was just following policy and kind of held it to the group. And again, I think the Corvette show is a different one because they do so much marketing that they don't actually have to put the dollars forward. So it's not like they don't market. It just doesn't show up on the budget. So.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I agree with Mr. Palladini down here. Believe it or not, John. You know, it's not a case about expanding government. It's about recognizing the role of using taxpayer dollars. Taxpayer dollars are what gets spent here. All right, when there's little accountability, or what appears to be little accountability, that creates a problem for everybody. That was one of the reasons why TAC, or whatever the organization was to begin with, came out of the process, was so that the people responsible for extracting the dollars from their clientele, and solely responsible for that out of their clientele, could evaluate the value. It seems to me something's broken in the process when all the information isn't delivered, and because then you're evaluating the wrong material. You're not evaluating the right material. That's almost like saying, you know, the rodeo doesn't bring anything to the party, or Christmas City doesn't bring anything to the party. So you have to kind of try and look at this a little differently, and maybe you're a paid public servant, so I'm going to be as gracious as I possibly can. Maybe the idea of having a formal committee appointment through the city, spending $500,000 of our money, is a better option than to allow volunteers to pick and choose. So we need to evaluate that.
And this, let me make clear. I mean, again, this is nothing. This is no comment on the work and the quality of people that are part of this TAC group. I just think that may have been done without, you know, with perhaps legal department didn't have input, or for whatever reason. You know, no, I'm not making excuses. Again, I've been here almost 5 years and didn't realize it. So the idea that the council can formally create a group. There's on a group like this, there's no requirement that they necessarily be a resident of the city. It could be, you know, a type of industry they're in, just like on the Arts and Public Places Committee, you know, those kinds of things. And the council can make those kinds of decisions and get an advisory committee to sort of go through the details like it does now, and then bring a recommendation to council, because it sounds like hours and hours and hours and hours went into these decision making, and that's certainly something that's why you have advisory committees, even or planning commissions, those kinds of things. And again, this is not just following the statute. This is about transparency and making sure that things are that public records are kept, minutes are kept, and that if somebody wants to go back and look at why was this decision made, that the clerk has minutes of that meeting or something. So it's complying with law, but it's also about transparency, which I think you would all agree is extremely important to this council, I believe.
And I think you're right, because if there would have been minutes kept, whomever felt they were shorted, for whatever the reason, could have gone back to the minutes and could have saw that whomever evaluated the thing didn't understand what it really meant for spending dollars. I mean, promotional dollars. Okay, and the time invested, the money invested, because time is money.
Councilman Blair.
Just one quick thing. I think that we all sit here and want the best for this community, but I think whatever paperwork there is that guides this committee needs to be reevaluated. And that needs to be on the next council go-around, because the bottom line to all this is it's about Prescott and the health of our community. So if it's about advertising dollars, it should be about advertising dollars and what each one of these events generates for this community. And it's got to be looked at as a whole. It can't be looked at as just one piece, because I think we leave a lot on the table when we don't. I can look up here and see, Highland Games. I don't know whether they applied or not, but if they applied and they didn't get zero money, that's 2 days of people coming from all over the state that are spending money in our community and staying in hotels. We think we need to evaluate this a little bit better. And thank you, TAC, for doing what you were told to do. Thank you, Margot. But I think from our standpoint up here, I think we need to do a better job of giving direction.
Okay, I think I'd like to move on to a motion. We were talking about increasing some of the lines here. Can anybody tell me what those are so we can make sure they're included in the motion?
Thank you.
I think we were looking at the Corvette show going back up to 3,900.
I believe that was the major one, and we just touched on some of it.
And the Highland Games, I can't see with my glasses off.
So
Highland Games has 4,000. So
the Highland Games are receiving 4,000. Mr. Mayor and Council, following your line of thought, if the concern is that we read the letter and not the spirit, and only allocated marketing dollars, there were 2 other events that were on this application that would have fallen under that category.
It was Wild Lights.
That would be Wild Lights at the zoo.
And the fair.
Actually not. It would be the other one that was tagged with their marketing dollar allocation was the Pack Watson Lake Car Show. Okay. Now it's a little higher number because they had a slightly higher marketing budget, but those were the 3 that were specifically tagged to their marketing plan. So if you wanted to follow that, those would be the 3 I'd look at.
John, if you remember correctly, I've argued this for a number of years. There's a difference between advertising and promoting. All right? And the language is very specific with regards. It can be interpreted and misinterpreted, and that's part of the problem. And that's what we're running into here. If you're solely basing your decision on advertising, you've missed promotion. And promotion isn't quite the same thing. All right? I made this song and dance once before about cleaning up the dog manure off the sidewalks around the square. That's not good tourism promotion when you don't have the money to take care of your basic services around the square either. So promotion and advertising aren't the same.
Okay, do we want to add anything to the Yavapai County Fair? I heard that brought up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay.
I think if we're going to be...
Yeah, it was. I mean, that wasn't one of the 3, but you're certainly...
No, it was...
it's on your...
I'm just the Corvette show is what I was, and if there was something else somebody wanted me to add to.
What do you got?
I noticed the Hope Fest isn't getting anything this year, and if it's because they didn't apply, Jaylene's son, who was active in the military, passed away, and that would be why she didn't apply. If it would be possible to give them something, they bring a lot of people in. They do a lot for the community. And she was dealing with the death of her service member, and that would be why she wouldn't have applied.
Do you know what they've gotten in the past?
It's up there. It says 1,200, 2,200. I think, it would do honor to her loss to include something for that.
And I'll talk about that too, because Jaylene and Hope Fest, they bring so much to the town of Prescott. Not only that, they have 3 big top-notch Christian bands that come here and play downtown. They bring thousands of people from all over the state. It's a great Christian organization. So it's a rep for community and bringing people in town. So that's one I will definitely vouch for. Hope Fest.
Okay, thank you. Have we recorded all that?
You're going to have to pass a motion that'll record it, I believe, right? So first of all, just can I say Hope Fest did not apply. So I think it's important to respect the wishes, but I also urge you to respect the process, flawed as it was. There was no application made for that organization, regardless of the circumstances. So it's of course up to you, but there was a process, it was flawed, we recognize that, but you know, the people that applied were the ones that you probably want to be looking at.
You know, Mayor, what I would recommend on that, I mean, this isn't the last final word on this issue necessarily. In other words, you can always have a special award to, if the Hope Fest folks can come in and do send some sort of letter, some sort of document that makes a request, you know, at a subsequent meeting, you can always approve a separate grant, I think, at a subsequent meeting. But I sort of agree with Mr. Heine. I'm not sure if you don't have any application at all, that
You can't award money that wasn't
awarding,
applied.
because you don't even know what they're asking for necessarily. So,
If I understand what you're saying, Mr. Palladini, that those dollars, that fund balance ending, there's some dollars that they could.
You could do it at some subsequent date if you're so
exactly.
inclined.
If you want to do a sort of a special grant approval at some future meeting, if you get at least something in writing, making a request and the basis for it, I would be more comfortable doing that later on, you know, and maybe that word can be put out to those folks.
And see if they're actually interested in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Councilwoman Orr?
Well, I guess kind of what I definitely don't think we ought to be not awarding money to folks that did not apply, because there were several. And so, you know, where do you start and stop the process? I mean, there was a process. It was very clear. There was a mandatory meeting. I mean, this wasn't just in the last few weeks that this was done. So I think that we make those recommendations that you mentioned, John, and that we just move forward.
Councilwoman Wilcox?
I'd like to see staff rework this sheet and bring it back to council. We're getting too much detail and it's too confusing.
The motion would be like a 5-minute motion.
So I think that what staff would be looking for direction on, we heard a number for the Corvette car show. Is there a formula for the other two that you want to use? Is there a number? It's really at your pleasure at this point. You know,
I'd say go back to what they got last year.
Go back to what they got last year.
I think that's a fair way to do that. And then
specifically for the three that were cut back because of their marketing budgets.
Exactly, and then we need to reevaluate the process that we use.
Is that a motion, Mr. Blair?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
And I will second that motion.
What was the motion?
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Vote, please.
What was the motion? Hold on.
The motion is to give those three exactly what they received last year.
Which three?
Well, the three would be the Corvette car show.
I can help you with that.
Please.
Wild Lights Animal Show, Animal Lights, the Corvette Show, and the Pack Watson Lake Show.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, they actually did not apply last year.
That's right. So it needs to be what they asked for.
Could be what they asked for.
How time sensitive is this?
Well, I will say, especially with the Corvette Car Show, their event's coming up immediately. So as soon as we can get some direction on this and get checks going. So.
And I remember our next meeting is in 3 weeks.
So
August 29.
They said they can wait 3 weeks.
August 29.
Okay.
Our show is September 23rd. We're fine.
Okay.
Are you suggesting that we back up? And,
Yeah, I'd rather have this clear right here.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll make recommendations for these three, what you would.
Mr. Blair, are you rescinding your motion as well?
Yeah, I think it needs to be right. I mean, again, I don't know. I'm not seeing the backup paperwork that you have in front of you, so I have no idea what they asked for. So you don't want to go out there and give them twice as much as they asked for.
I think what we're saying here is we'll go ahead and delay this.
Withdraw the motion
until the next.
29th.
Continue it till next meeting.
I withdraw the motion.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to comment, because John Heine and the TAC have said from the get-go that this needs to be redone. And so I just want to recognize that they are the ones that have said that this needs to be looked at again, and the guidelines need to be clear a little more results-oriented. So from the get-go, they have recognized that. And so they were just going by policy that was in.
Yeah, and in fact, they were taking a process that had some loosey-goosey elements and trying to have a better process. But if the end result is that we're going to change it, great. But I agree, staff has worked really hard on this and has also offered for the next application cycle to get input from the people that have been receiving these grants, so we have a better process even going forward.
And if I could add, and in no way or no means am I saying that the TAC has done anything wrong or inappropriate here. And I've said this about other, like CDGB and Board of Adjustments and all of the other committees and boards that we depend on as a council, because we can't be at everything. It's impossible. So I just want to make it clear that we do appreciate everything that was done with staff and TAC. So.
Can I just say something?
Got 1 minute. Go on. Yeah.
Okay, my name's Tim Graham. I'm owner of Whispering Pines Bed and Breakfast and a member of the TAC committee as well. And I came to this meeting last year. Message was sent out also that we shouldn't be funding well-established events. So are we doing that now again or not? I think that should be considered as well, okay?
Yeah. I think it does.
Did you want to say something? Yeah, I just want to say one thing, Mayor. I think that this focus on the TAC is a good focus. I think it's giving us an opportunity to air, what TAC really needs to be dealing with, and I don't want to make it any more difficult for them than it already is. So I think that we just need to focus and see an end game in this thing. And I think we're heading there.
And the TAC members would agree with you. Like I say, like Councilwoman Norris said, we see flaws in the process. We get messages from council and try to adjust. So we have to tighten up the process and bring it back.
Okay. Thank you. We have the consent of the council on that?
Yep.
Okay. Move on to item B.
Item B, adopting resolution number 4398-1607 to establish an entertainment district for Prescott.
So you still got me. Here I am. Tom Geist asked me to fill in and present this. This was brought to you in your study session at the last meeting for the resolution for the establishing the entertainment district. Since the last meeting, there were some adjustments made to the, I think primarily to the map. And I believe that that was at the suggestion of the city attorney's office. I'm going to go right down to that. And I don't know, John, if you want to comment on some of the minor adjustments that were made to the map, kind of on the north side there.
I think Mayor Pro Tem and remaining council members, I think that the clear direction last week was to bring this back. Last meeting was to bring this back and expand the northern part of the district to include our green belt and our waterways in the creek areas. And so, as you can see, instead of just carving it along sort of those big parcels, which are mostly the creek, and we included the neighborhood in there so that if there is ever sort of a redevelopment or gentrification of that neighborhood, where there's entertainment venues, arts and entertainment venues along Sonora, that the entertainment district includes some of that neighborhood in the event that a school or a church moves in, because the separation requirement would only apply to a school or a church that's in the district. So if the school or church is outside the district, then the 300-foot rule still applies. I mean, at some point you obviously have a limit. And then we also straighten the line along Grove to run it straight down Grove, midpoint of Grove there, as you can see. And then for the most part, the rest of the border of the district remains the same.
So the request is for the adoption of a resolution establishing an entertainment district within the Prescott downtown area. That is what is before you. Any other questions or comments?
I have a question.
Thank you, Jean.
I'm just curious about Comfort Street and why there's that little jog that takes in the street, not the lot. It's at the northern edge.
Yeah.
I suspect that that's along the property line of that sort of weird dogleg left parcel. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
You know, that may be part of the property.
It is.
Okay,
yeah,
so it's
of the
not part
property.
of the street right away.
The line either, if it's in a street, it's the midpoint of the street. And if it follows along a property line, it just follows the property line. Most of it attempted to be a midpoint of a street, but some of it had to follow property lines.
Okay, and then another question. Just for clarification, this is not a land use district. If there's any property that wants to change use, they have to go through the land development code zoning change process.
This is not a zoning classification. This is essentially a potentially reducing of a restriction set in state statute. And just to reemphasize, as I said last time, that any establishment that is requesting a liquor license in the district still has to go through the process. It's a case-by-case decision for that decision-making.
I think to the city manager's comments at the last meeting, this does allow for the establishing the arts entertainment district, possible marketing opportunities, promotional opportunities to talk about this as a district, a defined district. So it does open up some opportunities for that as well.
And John, also grant opportunities.
Absolutely, yeah. Once you have the defined district, we should be able to find some opportunities for that as well.
John, if I'm not mistaken, last meeting, I think maybe it was last month or something. Maybe it was last year, I can't remember now. We went to a different schedule and it's hard to remember everything. Anyway, I thought that you explained to me again last week, or last time we met, that simply because we adopt or we elect to go this way doesn't preclude us from changing it at some point in the future.
Right.
Or adding to it.
Right.
What we're limited to is 1 square mile.
Total, correct.
Right. And we're nowhere near that with what we're doing.
I wish Tom were here because
We're not. Yeah, Tom made it clear that we're still well within that parameter.
Okay.
Right. So I just, very similar to the last exercise we just went through, I don't want people out there with false expectations on things that are not real. Here's what's real. This here is for a specific purpose, and we're not limited to it. If we decide as a council, there's another proposal being brought forward to expand our ability. So,
Right.
Oh, welcome back. I was doing pretty good there for a while.
Doing a great job, thanks.
All right, so with having said that, is there any other comments from the council? Hearing none, is there any comments from the public? Yes, sir.
Hi, everyone. Mayor, council members, thank you. My name is Dan Lohmeyer. I'm an Arizona native. I moved here a year ago from Austin, Texas. I'd been over there for about 7 years, which has an entertainment district in it. My wife and I, Teresa, we moved here to help start Far From Folsom, and in doing so, we've provided about 40 jobs to the community, about $600,000 in payroll in the last year, and we put about $150,000 into arts, entertainment, bands, plays on our premise. We really enjoyed watching the transformation in Austin over the last 7 and 15 years, respectively. But we were there, watching places like Rainey Street just grow into just a crown jewel of the community. Places where people come from hundreds of miles all around to participate in events and to stay in the town and visit the town, go on the hike and bike trails, and go to the museums and whatnot. And we really loved the area that we lived in, but it wasn't for us. We chose Prescott. We came here. We 2 young professionals, both in high tech. We could live anywhere in the world, and we chose to come to Prescott. And now we want to see that transformation start to happen and really grow this into the crown jewel of Arizona.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. We are the crown jewel. We're just going to be different tomorrow than we were today. Okay, we are growing. All right. We're growing so well, it attracted you. All right. Yeah, open for motion.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to adopt resolution number 4398-1607.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Vote, please.
Passes 7-0.
Thank you.
You take it back now.
Okay, thank you. Move on to item C.
The coup d'etat over? Is the coup d'etat over?
Yeah.
Approval of city contract 2018-026 for an animal sheltering services agreement with the Yavapai Humane Society for a 3-year period in the total amount of $177,450, $57,950 for FY 2017-18, $59,109 for fiscal year 2018-19, and $60,291 for fiscal year 2019-20.
Mayor, Council, this is a request for approval of the 3-year contract and the amounts that were just mentioned. I will note that this does represent a significant reduction from what we're currently paying for these services. Year 1 is a 16.9% reduction, year 2 15%, and year 3 is 13%. Executive Director of Yavapai Humane Society, Jocelyn Bouchard, is here, as well as staff member Lieutenant Jason Small, to answer any questions you might have.
Questions, comments from the council? Go ahead.
Why the reduction? Just out of curiosity. We're not used to anything being reduced.
Good negotiation.
Mayor and Council, this was a negotiated process. Jocelyn has taken over. She's is new management over previous years, so she's taken some cost reduction steps, and we are going to try to move to a kennel day accounting system. So we're looking at a 3-year contract to do that, so we can get data to start looking at what we actually need to pay per kennel day that we are legally obligated to pay for. So it was a negotiated process, and we've gone down a little bit, and she has been able to renegotiate some of her expenses.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I have a question for you. I was told that we're charged on the number of animals we bring there, but it sounds to me like you're talking about the number of kennel days. Is that correct?
Correct. Right now, we're looking at the total number of impounds, around 1,100 a year. But what we're required to pay for is on a 3, 5, or 10-day kennel day time period. So after that, the dog becomes emancipated and is Yavapai Humane Society's obligation to pay for those kennel days. So what we want to start being able to track, which will start July of 2018, will be the number of kennel days. Let's say we have an impound where the dog has a license. We're only obligated to house that dog for 5 days. Then it becomes emancipated to Yavapai Humane Society. So we want to be able to account for the number of days that we're obligated to pay for, and no more. So by the end of this 3-year contract, we should have a different expense system where we'll be able to track those days.
So the small reductions in each year is basically CPI, or?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions, comments from the council? Any from the public? Okay, do I have a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve city contract number 2018-026 for a total amount of $177,450.
Second.
Motion and second vote, please.
Passes 7-0.
Item D.
Approval to purchase fire department extrication equipment, Jaws of Life, from Western States Fire Equipment using Yuma contract number 2013-200001444, pricing in the amount of $98,445.43. City contract number 2018-11.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council. Seeking your approval this afternoon to proceed with an appropriation that was made in this year's budget process to acquire new extrication equipment. Our current equipment is in excess of 15 years. across all platforms. Each of the fire engines has a piece of this equipment. Late calendar year 16, we experienced a catastrophic failure, at which time I brought forward an emergency purchase authorization, which was granted to replace that one unit. In the aftermath of that catastrophic failure, we went back and reassessed all our equipment needs, and it was revealed that all our equipment is outdated and in dire need of replacement. We have applied for a AFG grant. That award, those awards were forthcoming in April. However, we were not successful in securing an award. Therefore, we need to move forward with this purchase. With that, I'd answer any questions that you might have.
Questions, comments from the council? I got a couple. Basically, we got 5 fire engines. So we have one on each fire engine, is that correct?
We have 5 frontline apparatus, and then we have a number of reserve apparatus for surge capacity, yes, sir.
Okay, so
And
the
then
5 that you have, the 5 that you're going to purchase are the ones that are going to go in your frontline apparatus, is that what you're saying?
That's correct. We'll purchase the 5. We've replaced one already, which is in one of those fire engines, and then we have a total of 2 ladder companies as well. So we have a total of 7 frontline apparatus, 2 ladders, and 5 fire engines. This will allow us, and then we're going to take the best of what's left and equip those reserve apparatus to make sure we have, so we don't have to switch and move equipment around every time we need to bring something into a frontline service.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Any from the public? Do you have a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve city contract number 2018-011 in the amount of $98,445.43.
Second.
Got a motion and a second vote, please.
Passes 7-0.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Item E.
Award of city contract number 2018-005 to Capital Improvements LLC for the small water mains replacement Dexter Neighborhood Phase 3 project in the amount of $3,870,854 and approval of night work for a portion of the project.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Steve Orosen, Public Works, and before you today is a award of a construction contract to Capital Improvements for the small water mains project for this fiscal year. This is part of a annual project to remove the water mains that are less than 3 inches in existence in the city to upgrade them to current standards, which is 6 inch and above. The project is the 3rd phase in this Dexter neighborhood area. It's a little hard to see here, but there's various red and blue lines that are either being abandoned or installed as new lines to support the residents in this area. There is an area down in this area here near Oil Can Henry's that we do need to work in Miller Valley Road to connect the water line to service the businesses in that area. During the first phase, we found that the water service is older and under a building, so we're trying to fix that with this project. We have been working with the businesses in that area to facilitate this construction and have worked with them to work at night or off hours when they're not as busy to minimize the impact to the local businesses there. So that's the second part of the motion. That's the only part of the project that will be done at nighttime. The rest will be done during the day. We did publicly bid this project in May and June of this year. I received 2 bids, and the low bid is being recommended today. The engineer's estimate was right in between the 2 bids this time, which is a good process. All the capital improvements background checks out, and we're recommending the award of the low bid today. With your approval today, the project will get started in early September and be completed by May of next year. And if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Questions, comments from the council?
I have one, Mayor. Steve, when they replace the lines, are you also redoing the pavement, or
Yes.
is it just going to get filled in and patched in?
A combination of both. Depends on the surface quality of the existing roadway. Many of the roads in that area need some help, and we are going to be reconstructing several of the roads in that area. There will be another project that's coming before you along Dameron in the near future, where we separated that reconstruction out of this water project. We did find that many of the streets
need to be resurfaced.
Resurfaced at a minimum, not just patched.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
we did evaluate that during the process.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. Reconstructing.
Yes.
Explain that just a little bit.
Sure.
Okay,
Be
so
glad
that it's fully clear not only to people like me,
Mm-hmm.
but people that are watching this. Are we going in there and tearing up streets and putting in new streets?
I can explain that, because that is a very common understanding of what does it mean to do a chip seal, to do a pavement preservation and a reconstruction, which are all very different techniques. What we're looking at in this project is a combination of all three of those. In some areas, the road surface is in fairly good shape, and that we're only doing a single waterline trench, so a trench repair is adequate for that. In some areas, the road surface, based on how many cuts we're making, will need to have a reconstruction process applied, which means that we're removing all the asphalt in that area, recompacting the material under the asphalt, and then putting down some new asphalt. In some areas, there's going to be a chip seal applied to the surface to clean up the surface. So it's a combination of the three processes on all the streets in that area that we're working on.
Thank you for that explanation. I just don't want the public to expect the exact same product in all the sections that we're working on, because that's not what's going to happen.
Yes, and this is one of those projects that have multiple applications on multiple streets.
Thank you.
Councilman Blair?
Yes, Steve, is it, based upon what you just said, is that very well documented and called out so that the contractor understands?
Yes.
Which roads get which?
That is correct. And the contractor is here if you have any questions for him, too.
Hi, Alan. Thank you for your bid. Okay, that's all I had.
Councilwoman Wilcox?
If we're replacing 3-inch lines with 6-inch lines, I'm assuming that that's going to improve the fire protection ability in that neighborhood.
That is correct. And the pressures will be much more consistent. In some of the areas, we've found 1-inch lines that have been there for a long time. So,
if I'm not mistaken, like there were certain streets that didn't have adequate fire hydrants, and you add those where they're needed.
that is correct. We've been working with the fire department to meet those standards as well.
Good.
And I understand the only night work is going to be on Miller Valley Road?
Yes, just in that short section down in this area by Oil Can Henry's and Sweet Potato.
Residents are minimal there. So.
Correct. And we're just trying to balance the impact to the local businesses and the residents as well.
Okay, thank you. Anything else from the council? Anything from the public? Okay, do I have a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve.
City contract number 2018-005.
Second.
A motion and a second vote, please.
Passes 7-0.
Do you have a second motion?
I move to approve night work for this project.
Second.
Motion and second vote, please.
Passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Item F.
Approve the additional payment of $579,625 to Public Safety Personnel Retirement System.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is just at the last council meeting, the sale of the front portion of the fire station on 6th Street was made, and council directed that those monies go to PSPRS. Prior to that, we had sold the back 2 parcels of that lot. So this motion I brought forward just to clarify that council wants all the proceeds from those 3 lots to be sent to PSPRS. We've been paid for the lots that were sold on the back. Escrow is closed. Escrow will be closing on the front portion in the next 60 days. This item I brought forward just to send 1 check, send it this week, get it to PSPRS to pay it off. And it would go 50% to the police trust fund and 50% to the fire trust fund.
Questions, comments? Have we already paid the $1,050,000 into the hall? We've already made those payments.
Those refunds will be made this week. We're doing a separate payroll for that to take care of that. The lawsuit, the court issue about interest has not been finalized, so that will have to be done in the future as soon as that is finalized.
Yeah, and that's separate from this funding here. That was another.
Correct. That funding,
appropriation
yes,
from
yes,
general
we will
fund.
not be taking the credits on our payments, which it does allow. We will just be making those out of the reserves. This payment of $579,625 is separate from that and just going into the trust fund to increase the assets there.
Which also should pay down our unfunded liability to a small
Correct.
extent.
Yes, obviously the unfunded liability is the difference between the full liability and the assets. So as we pay up assets,
I'm just
it
trying to
does
make sure everybody
reduce that.
understands that out there. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. And if not mistaken, Mark, as we move forward in the process, other properties or assets that we've predetermined that came out of the general fund that we are going to look at selling, that money will also go back into pay up the pension fund liability that we have, correct?
Correct. We'll make sure that those motions in the future, as you consider those options, have that as part of them so we can just take care of it from that one motion when you sell the properties.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments from the council? Any from the public? Come on down.
Richard Stillman, City of Prescott. Hi, Mayor. Hello. Yeah, I would recommend that we do not send the money down to PSPRS board at this time. There's no interest on the debt, and there's no way anyone can force us to send it. So I think we should hang on to it, at least until November, to late November, when we will get the new numbers from PSPRS on what we owe, which should be somewhere between $88 and $90 million. I'm really looking forward to that. In fact, I would like to see all cities in the state of Arizona withhold money from PSPRS while the legislature and the governor run for re-election next year. Let's hold back our money. And maybe we can get some cooperation so that the taxpayers never have to face this situation ever again, which I've not heard anyone talk about. We talk about coming up with money and sending money, but no one talks about the taxpayer and what we are burdened with and what we have to face, and every time that they misinvest, we have to make it good. Where's the incentive for them to make it good so that we never have to face this ever again? No one talks about it, no one wants to talk about it, no one will address it, no one will make a commitment to it, but the taxpayers are always on the hook when they screw up. So let the legislature and the governor squirm for a year for the taxpayers, and then come and ask us for a vote. Because we've got a sad legislature, and they need to act so that we don't have to ever face this ever again. So I don't recommend that we send any money down there to die until we have some movement from the legislature. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, come on down.
Terry Christensen, Prescott, Arizona. I'm a taxpayer, and I'm just going to say that I hope that you approve the $579,625 to pay down the PSPRS system. And as a taxpayer that discusses it quite a bit, would hope that you choose to do so. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, do I have a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve.
Before we go there,
Oh.
I've got to.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see
Yeah,
it.
press that button. Again, Mr. Palladini, you're our lawyer. We have here about $580,000. Is there a mechanism in place to deposit this exclusively for the disposition or to be spent for public safety retirement personnel system at a rate different than what we're earning right now, maybe with the treasurer? I hear they're earning about 4% down there.
Well, you know, we have I don't know if our investment policy necessarily allows that. And I'll tell you, the issue with I don't think there's a full consensus about whether or not we can deposit money with state treasurer or not. State treasurer seems to think so, but others don't. So, and it really is something that it's really beyond our purview to make that determination. I mean, that's going to have to be worked out between the state treasurer. I think the Attorney General's office doesn't think they can. So I think it's a novel idea. I just don't think it's been fleshed out where it needs to be fleshed out, and that's down at the state capitol amongst the people that don't agree on that concept.
Thank you for that explanation. And with that, I'll go ahead and let you make the motion, Billy.
Okay.
You have a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve payment of $579,625 to the Public Safety Personnel Retirement System.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second vote, please.
Passes 7-0.
Okay, I'll wrap up with my Founding Fathers quote. This is from Patrick Henry. "The liberties of people never were, nor ever will be secure when the transactions of their rulers may be concealed from them." Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.
Good meeting. Okay, so.
Hey, Mayor, did you know we're going to have this discussion today?